It's in the game.
Special match double today. We have live coverage from Ellen Road as Leeds United take on Newcastle United, but before then our lead commentator was otherwise engaged, but we've got this highlight package from St James's Park that's rocking, facing the returning Alexander Isak and the visit of the champions. So here tonight from James's Park, here we are for a top clash between Liverpool and Newcastle United. Newcastle United fans don't really know whether to cheer or boo today because Alexander Isak, as expected, made the Liverpool full team today, and the champions have an early test of this new-look Newcastle United side. I think advantage has to go to the champions, however, as they are pretty much following on from the previous season, and a few upgrades too. Let's take a look at the lineups today. Nick Pope is in goal, of course. It's probably the traditional 11 today, save for Jorne Wieser, who comes in for Voldemort, who didn't even make the team today, and it is pretty much aside from there. Having a look at the champions, of course, Alice Bakker will start in goal. And I think Florian Wirtz is an interesting one who made the bench. Of course, the captain, Virgil van Dijk, starts as well. Actually, Wirtz is on the side, but look at that. Alexander Isak, if he's on form, it might be a long night for the hosts here today. There's Van Dijk. It's tackled by Tonali here. And it's going to fall here to the new signing on board. Here he's going to go through Nick Pope, but he scored. And it's the new signing, Zagaleta, I believe. And Nick Pope, it's another goalkeeping error for Newcastle United. And it is Zaganidi. A very surprising inclusion with the Liverpool team today, but he's made it count. And Nick Pope, well, he was always 6 and 7 here. He probably should have parried that away, to be fair. It's another goalkeeping error. James Trafford was the cause of an error against Bayern Munich in the pre-season, but it didn't really count. That might be a telling moment. It might be game 2. But Nick Pope, that is not what he needs when he's looking over the shoulder at James Trafford, waiting in the wings perhaps. It's Liverpool 1, Newcastle United 0. And here is Gordon ready for takeoff, and no one does get to him at all. Jorne Wieser is the only one who's covered him. It's a dive throw in, and Jorne Wieser scored. And St James's Park explodes. Jorne Wieser puts Newcastle United level. It's a vital result against the champions. Well, it's a statement of intent, and it's really probably to show Isak what he's missing. And there was Wirtz. Oh, look at this spring pop pass to Liverpool. Oh, he's got it wide open. He's there. And he scored, much to Newcastle United's dismay. Alexander Isak, a much different reaction now. He probably shouldn't be celebrating, to be fair. I'm not really a fan of that. Newcastle did give him his boot break, but football is a business, I suppose. But look at this pass. Absolutely pin perfect. Isak makes it 2-1. And it was probably an error of expectancy about that one. Nick Pope once again making an error. And here's Jacob Murphy. Oh, it's a beautiful pass. Here comes Wieser again. And he scored. And Newcastle United won't go down without a fight here. They're level again thanks to Wieser. Well, the most unlikely of signings, really. You know, leaving a decent Brentford side for, well, a Newcastle United side in the Champions League. It was probably out of expectancy, really, but Wieser hits the ground running. He's already got 2 today. And once again, he digs his team out of a hole. And Newcastle United will take that. But conceding is still an issue here. But they'll take it as long as they score. And here is Gordon again. And he puts that Weezer. Oh, it's a beautiful pass. And it's a goal for Jacob Murphy. A wonderful pass by Alexander Weezer, my apologies. Jacob Murphy, it was on a plate for him. And Newcastle take the lead against the champions. And all of a sudden, Isak's return isn't looking so happy for him now. Newcastle are hurt by 3-2. Jacob Murphy, of all people, he'll take it. And here is Anthony Gordon again. He's all over the ball at the moment. Oh, Weezer, what a pass. Jacob Murphy's going to reach it. He's going to move it back in to Weezer. It's 3 for Yone Weezer. 4-2 to Newcastle United. St James's Park is a dreamland here. Well, they feared the return of Alexander Isak, and he's got 1, but it's one of his replacements that's got 3. Newcastle United in delirium land here. 4-2 and 3 for Yone Weezer. Take that, Alexander Isak. It's Murphy as we approach half-time here. And it's an absolute go anywhere. But look at this passing from Newcastle United. He's put down Jolinton. It's 5-2. It's beautiful from Newcastle United. They have blown Liverpool off the park. And now it's probably a formality against the run of play on the form book. Jolinton takes the lead. What a stunning strike. Well, look at this passing. Absolutely crisp as you like. There's definitely no problems for scoring when it comes to Newcastle this season. Here's a corner. We know that corners have been Newcastle's problem. Van Dijk! And it is in. It's 5-3. It probably doesn't mean too much in the context of the game, although we've only played about 4 minutes of the second half. And Virgil van Dijk, rather than gloating, really should be picking up the ball and going back to the centre circle, because they're behind. Not much to celebrate right now. It's a glorious corner from Wirtz, to be fair. But once again, Newcastle United beaten in the air. He's picked out Hall. Look at the space on the left there. I think that's Lewis Miley. It's a wonderful move again from Newcastle United. Back to Voldemode, who scored. A Premier League debut goal for Nick Voldemode. And he can celebrate because his team are ahead. It's another beautiful Newcastle move. Absolutely stunning. And another goal for Voldemode here. He's off the mark now in a Newcastle shirt. Well, we could end up with any scoreline here. It's turning into a bit of a cricket match, to be honest. Next for Liverpool will be another tough test when they come up against the new-look Arsenal side, much improved from previous seasons, and probably the title favourites, to be honest. Murphy! Oh, what a strike! 7-3 for Newcastle United. It's 7 of the best tonight. And they've literally shown up Isak today. Only 1 for him and 7 for Newcastle. And they're sending a message really here that we'll miss you, but we don't miss you as much as you think. Because today we got 7 of them and 3 from Weezer. It was a good take by Alisson. He's not really had much to save today because Newcastle have been pinpoint That's a beautiful touch. Oh, beautiful touch by Isak. He's away. And this is going to be a goal, surely. And it is. 7-4. Isak does not miss, but it probably doesn't mean that whole much, to be honest. Because Liverpool have been rather not poor defensively. It's just Newcastle have been stellar when they attack. But that's a great distribution from Alisson, and Isak with the touches of death. Left it with all the space, and he doesn't miss those. It's going to end up as any scoreline right now. This is a slugfest. Now here come Liverpool again. I think that's Wirtz with the ball in. It's Isak with a header off the post. And back they come. Here's Garvenbech. Here's Wirtz. He put the ball into the first place. He's got a goal. Florian Wirtz is off the mark. One of the most expensive transfers of the summer, aside from Isak. He's probably the second. And he's made it count. Newcastle hanging on by a bit of a thread. They've still got a cushion, but it's looking a little less likely now. But there's not long left for Liverpool to mount a remarkable comeback. And we hope for the Newcastle St James's Park's sake that this lead stays intact. And the 97th minute has passed, and Newcastle United take a vital win here at St James's Park against the champions. They played them on the park to some degree, but the score doesn't reflect it. It's been an absolute slugfest. And, well, what a game. Newcastle United fans, they did boo Isak as you would expect. But my goodness, that scoreline is the whole story. Let's take a look at all the other scores for the weekend and what that means to the Premier League table. Chelsea took a win over West Ham by 3-1. It was 2-2 between Manchester City and Spurs, and that could be vital drop points come the end of this season. Bournemouth taking a 2-0 win over struggling Wolves, who are at the bottom of the table. Aston Villa, 4-0 winners over Brentford, recovering from their loss against Newcastle in the first weekend of the season. Burnley winning 3-0 against Sunderland. Vital win for Arsenal against Leeds by 3-1. Everton loses to Brighton by 2-1, as we saw the other day. And we missed the last two, unfortunately. I think that was a lot quicker than I thought. So let's have a look at the table instead. Newcastle United now top, thanks to their goal difference, but heavily pursued by Arsenal and Chelsea, with the Manchester City a further 2 points behind. Spurs 5th, Brighton, as we said, winning at the Hill Dickinson Stadium, as we saw earlier today. Aston Villa 7th, followed by Bournemouth. Burnley have Manchester United next, they're 9th. Could be a formality win, to be honest. Crystal Palace, West Ham, Liverpool, as a result of that slugfest loss, dropped to 12th, followed by Leeds United, newly promoted in 13th, ahead of Fulham and Manchester United. Nottingham Forest in 16th, followed by Brentford. I didn't think Brentford was so low, to be honest, but it is only week 2. I don't think there's anything to worry about yet. No panic switches need to be hit. Oh, Everton back in the relegation zone. That's hugely unfortunate. And Wolves and Sunderland, all these three teams have yet to score. Well, Newcastle United take their 100% winning start to Elland Road, one of the other old guard in the Premier League. And it's very much an honour to see this well, they are still great, aren't they? But this great club back in the Premier League. And it is a tale here of another 2 of the old guard. And very different, contrasting expectations for Newcastle United, given all their signings. The top 4 is probably in their future. For Leeds United, it is the first time back in the Premier League for a few years. And here we are today at Elland Road. Well, this is obviously game 3, and as you probably would have seen, I missed an absolute classic at Anfield. At St James's Park, rather. Figures. Oh well. That's just the way it goes. I'll be with you now until at least, I would say, the middle of October. I think is going to be the Mrs.'s next appearance at the Emirates Stadium. So we've got some time to witness what Newcastle could do at this point of the season. So here's the Leeds United lineup today. And Lucas Perry, a lot of expected of him today as he starts in goal. Gunnarsson, formerly of Brighton, Jack Harrison, and return to his former club to face them today for Sean Longstaff there in the middle of the park. Well, Newcastle United coming off an absolute classic. James Trafford is in goal this afternoon. And it is very much a rotated side with a Premier League start for Joshua Zirkzee, Anthony Elanga and Jacob Murphy in a very different front three to what has been the norm. Nick Pope, Eddie Howe was very quick to point out that James Trafford's selection is not performance-based off the Liverpool of letting in 5 goals. Because it didn't matter. Because at the end of the day, we won the game. So James Trafford is probably just getting a run out. It's more of a rotation reason rather than anything else. Nick Pope is still the number 1 here. But it was a very much a difficulty for defence on both sides, with a grand total of 12 goals being scored by both teams. So it's that really does make a lot of sense when you think about it. And already Joshua Zirkzee pushing forward here. He's going to get the advantage. Perry's going to make a good save. And what has really become of Joshua Zirkzee? He's been a bit of a revelation since leaving Manchester United. I guess that's really to be expected when you look at the likes of Scott McTominay, for example. And I think it's quite ironic that Rasmus Højlund is now on loan to Napoli from Manchester United. So when you think about it that way, it really is Zirkzee with Højlund and McTominay all coming good since leaving. Not really used to be the case. It's a very different era of football these days when you think about it like that. Okafor's coming forward, Lewis Hall with an immediate tackle. Fabian Schär is back in the centre of defence today. And a bit of a defensive reshuffle, only with the signing of Ballada there. Eddie Howe has stuck with most of his core in that sense. There is Sean Longstaff, former Newcastle United player. Made a name for himself there. And that's a good early save for James Trafford to make. Good ball by Elanga there. And Elanga's another one, leaving Manchester United for somewhat better pastures as well. And I think one of the things Newcastle have to try and do is keep the ball. One thing we've noticed in the opening few games is they're very pass and move, and they're using wing play a lot, as you saw in the last 2 games, and particularly the one at Anfield. Jacob Murphy got 2 of those goals of the 7 that was scored for Newcastle United. It seems that scoring is not going to be as much of a problem as one initially would think with Newcastle United. The loss of the goals of Alexander Isak is certainly going to tell, but at this very moment in time, Newcastle United aren't missing him so much. Obviously, he got 2 for Liverpool in that last game, but for the overall result, they're not really missing it that much. But one thing that I think a lot of people have said over the last week or so is that Newcastle could be living dangerously, though, because they're not conceding goals. They've not been somewhat bad defensively, but they need to be more efficient with the ball. It's somewhat living dangerously, not having a lot of the ball in these games. And it could tell later in the year. We'll have to wait and see. This is only game 3. Here comes Joshua Zirkzee again off the post and out. And Daniel Farke there, the Leeds United manager. He's taken this great club back to the top, and he hopes to stay there, and we hope they stay there as well. Premier League has missed having them. As a Manchester United supporter, I'm probably not supposed to, given the rivalry we once had with Leeds United, but times have changed a lot. For both teams, in fact. Now it's Manchester United in a bit of a slump, while Leeds are finding their way back to the Premier League. Manchester United flirting with relegation somewhat last season. It was a wonderful ball in essence. It just didn't really come off. Alex Iwobi, former Arsenal man. I think formerly of Newcastle, if I remember rightly as well. I think he joined Fulham at one point too. I think he was at Fulham before this, so they signed him from Fulham. Trying to remember if he's at Newcastle United. Probably not, actually, now that I think about it. Well, he certainly was. Sean Longstaff getting a goal against a former club and former teammate, Bruno Guimaraes. I do believe they were teammates at one point. Maybe it was just before Guimaraes arrived. It will be a looping ball in, and Lucas Miley with a great save. Well, as one Miley is firing at Newcastle, the other one is struggling with non-lead Hartlepool, unfortunately. And we send commiserations to Jeff Stelling, obviously. Very famous man in the Hartlepool parts, and we hope they are back in the Football League soon. If there's one man that always deserves a smile on his face, it's Jeff Stelling. Definitely a big entertainment factor for me, especially over the last decade. There's nothing like seeing a real football fan on the screen. I'll tell you that for free. And Jeff Stelling is definitely one of them. And we hope his team is back in the Football League soon, back on this pyramid. And I'll tell you something, if Leeds can do it from where they came from, then anyone can do it. Leeds United, they've had a tough time to get here at times, but now they're back amongst the big boys. And doing very well in this first half, actually. Livramento, and I think that might have been Willock getting in his way there. Longstaff was also in very close proximity. There's Alex Iwobi, look how much space he has. He's being tracked. Longstaff and Okafor here. And good save by James Trafford. That's a decent save. Given away again by Newcastle. And I think that was turned away by Dan Burn for a corner. That was a decent save by James Trafford back there. It's Jack Harrison to take this resulting corner. And Schär heads it away. Newcastle somewhat struggling with set pieces. It's one of their things that others will look to exploit, really. Which is strange considering the strength that a lot of the centre-backs have. Dan Burn and Fabian Schär, very strong. They definitely fit the central defender's role in terms of their strength and builds. Very looking physical and strong players. Here's Livramento running all the whole length of the pitch here. Larson, former Brighton player, cuts him out. Marcato Iwobi. Starch. By Elanga, but he immediately ran into Iwobi trying to control it. Tanaka, brilliant move. Well, Lucas Miley gets there. Nothing. There's a lot of passing that's been done by Newcastle this season so far. Mainly like that. Going away to Longstaff. Don't think it was intentional in any sense, but Newcastle just not able to keep the ball for long enough stretches at times. Dan Burn didn't get there. I think Tanaka did. Livramento clears it away. Joshua Xerxes, another great touches by Xerxes. Guimarães cuts him out, but only as far as Willock. But Xerxes did very well to control that in the first place. Murphy. Miley. Now back to Murphy. Some of that more brilliant football from Newcastle United. Murphy's in the box and no one there. Ilanga puts it back in. And as far as ball to head it out, and that was really an inviting ball to attack, and no one did. I think it was Willock who was coming towards it. Schär. So another good pass, and now here's Ilanga, and now Newcastle break at pace. Ilanga, Virgil defends well. Willock tries to touch onto Xerxes, and Xerxes got to score. It was wonderfully done. Oh, Xerxes, he probably should have scored. And will Newcastle live to rue those chances? That's a golden opportunity. Xerxes should have made more of it. Robbie. And now look at the space again. And again, there's a big gaping hole. Burn. I think that's going to be a free kick. It did look like a hand from Dan Burn. Obviously unintentional, but the rules are being followed here. As we approach half-time, it's been a very even game so far. I would probably say Leeds have the slight edge in terms of having the ball, possession-wise. I for one think this spraying process takes too long. I think we should maybe find a way of speeding it up a little bit. Wonderful ball in. Harrison is completely unmarked, but he can't do much about it. He took a heavy touch there. Starks broke into the box, and Schär puts it out for a corner. The brilliance of Fabian Schär right there. Jack Charlton stand you saw there. Brother the great, late great Sir Bobby Charlton. Oh, off the bar. And that was as close as Leeds will come without scoring. And both teams have hit the woodwork in this first half. He puts it out for a throw. What a game we've had. It's amazing to think we've had no goals so far. Both teams have had clear-cut opportunities. And once again, I think that was a threat from a corner. It seems that that could be one of Newcastle's Achilles heels. Xerxes really looks a much improved man all of a sudden at Newcastle United. He's thriving at the moment. Starch. Harrison. Okafor. We're approaching the end of the first half. We've gone past the 2-minute mark, so the referee should blow his whistle any moment. There you go. Well, what a really cagey, competitive game this has been. We've had everything but a goal. Both teams hitting the woodwork early on, or mid-on. And, well, we're going to get a goal, but the question is where from? Anyone can score here. Leeds making a game at this, despite probably being the underdogs. It's 0-0 at the break. Welcome to Allard Road for the second half of Game 3, or Week 3, in the new League, or Premier League season. And we've got a bit of a competitive game going here, folks. Everything but a goal. We've had some transfer stories develop over the last week. We're hearing that Kieran Trippier could be on his way to Sevilla as an out for Newcastle. And remember, here's Anthony Ilanga breaking at pace here. Oh, he ran straight into the ball. We should have made more of that. It was rather unfortunate. And, well, I think the Sevilla sell could be on for about £7 million. So I wonder if Eddie Howe has got... Oh, and not a foul on Guy Morales. The referee telling him to get up there. But I think that was probably more of a foul than what he looked at first. But I wonder if Eddie Howe has one or two more signings planned. Maybe some last of that Alexander Isak fund of 125 million. And it's certainly could pay off for Liverpool, given last week, but Newcastle fought valiantly and just scored more goals instead. One transfer that has happened is Akram If going to FC Union from the free agent pool, as it were. But rumours are that Newcastle are looking at Javi Guerra. And maybe Dodo from Fiorentina, I think, could be another rumour we're hearing, which could be quite interesting, which could explain why we're hearing of maybe Sevilla's interest in Kieran Trippier. And another way of bringing the age down of Eddie Howe's players a little bit. He's got some aging players there. Of course, they're only just over 30. It's definitely not a regression age yet. It certainly would help take the pressure. With Balade, for example, it takes the pressure off the likes of Burn and Fabian Schär, who are getting up in age a little bit. And the Marlins with this free kick. And it looked good initially, but Perry takes the ball cleanly there. I'll take it. Well, Perry had a couple of very decent saves in the first half. Newcastle obviously have one shot go off the woodwork, as did Leeds. As we said, it's a very even game so far. Joe Willock. Longer. It definitely seems that Newcastle's game plan is break at pace, and this is what Elanga can do, because he can run at pace. There's a lot of pace to Burn. He finds Xerxes. A great save by Perry, to be fair. I don't think there's much more Xerxes could have done there. He probably could have tried and put it the other side, but regardless, Perry makes a very good save, and it's out for a corner. Looks like Jacob Murphy's going to take it. It was in towards Burn, but Martial got there first. Lewis Hall. Maybe a couple of rumours brewing around Arsenal. Obviously selling Yuri and Timber. Maybe Lewis Hall could be a target. He's got a lot of years left on his contract, so it would be a big buyout for Arsenal if they could do it. And they've already spent a lot of money this season. So, again, it's more rumour than anything else. I personally think no one at Newcastle wants Lewis Hall to be moved on at any point. One of the best young players in the world at the moment. Jacob Murphy's going to take this free kick here with Tonali rested. And here's Gumarales. Oh, and saved by Perry again. Perry's been terrific in this second half so far. A couple of really good saves. If Leeds get anything from this game, they have the goalkeeper to thank. Newcastle, once again, with this pretty play and passing, and also at pace as well. We get another free kick for another handball. Kind of harsh, to be fair, because it looked like the defender was trying to move his arms away from the ball. This is going to be right next to where the other free kick was taken. That's rather humorous. I really think we should speed this up. You could almost not actually even bother with the spray at that point. Jacob Murphy trying this one. Ball in, and Willock. Oh! And Newcastle, is it really going to be their day? It's another good, really good opportunity. Gone begging. Here's Jack Harrison. And next up for Newcastle will be a match against Wolves at St James's Park, and we'll finally be able to make my St James's Park debut this season. That's a good save by James Trafford. And that was obviously after missing the Liverpool game.
I really love that place, and I can't wait. I'm kind of excited, to be honest. It's probably one of my favourite atmospheres in the league. And there's no bias involved in that, even though we are following Newcastle this year. There's Iwobi. Livramento. Livramento spinning Iwobi out there. Dan Burn had to hurry that clearance away. It worked out wonders for him. Joe Willett now. He's found Xerxes. He decides to use Miley instead. Oh, it's another save by Perry. He's doing brilliantly, to be fair. Jack Harrison's going to be making way for another former Manchester United player in Dan James. Raj with the corner, and Martial gets it away. And here is Dan James. He's got pace to Burn, but Lewis Hall gets him first. Now Hall is looking to break away. Here's Murphy. He's trying to put the ball in towards Xerxes, and Martial gets there first again. He's done brilliantly as well. Got a credit release defence. They're doing very well. They may not be able to catch Newcastle United on the break, but Perry and a couple others doing very well, keeping them out. Starch. James. Now Leeds come forward with Dan James, and Trafford gets that one as well. This is just the kind of good game Trafford needs. He doesn't have to keep a clean sheet necessarily. And he's making some good saves. And he's been mastered. And Schär and Burn just about closing him out there. Well, Daniel Farr can be very proud of his team's efforts so far in the second half. Defensively, anyway. Schär puts it out momentarily. Livramento gets there. And now he's able to run it with it. Longstaff. Ooh. And we've got some substitutions being ready for Newcastle. It's a triple substitution as Xerxes, Miley make way for Weezer, Joelinton, and I think Jacob Murphy's gone off. Possibly for Anthony Gordon, I think. No, Jacob Ramsey, my apologies for that. Newcastle United definitely not looking as thin as they used to. You would have said at the start of pre-season they looked a little thin, probably still a little bit thin in the centre of the park. With only really maybe one or two substitutions that could come on for Joelinton, Tonali, or Morales at any given point. Maybe that's why Guerra is being possibly a target. I think Dodo can also play centre mid as well. So if he comes over from Fiorentina, it could certainly help. Trafford grabs that one out of the air. That's from Sean Longstaff. That's the kind of thing that Newcastle are struggling with, keeping the ball. Trafford, not a good throw there. Iwobi. Starch. Mastered. Longstaff finds back to Starch, and now Iwobi. And now Tanaka. It's a good goal, and Leeds take the lead. Well, against the run of play, Tanaka of all people. And it's a good goal, to be fair. It's very well worked here. And Tanaka just comes from nowhere. I don't think anyone was even marking him. I don't even know if anyone saw him. He came from absolutely nowhere. And James Trafford is very unlucky, to be fair. I don't think you can blame him for that. And Newcastle United behind after scoring 7 against Liverpool. They ran it a bit close by letting in 5. Maybe this could be one of those days where they regret not really scoring their chances. And Leeds have the lead. It's kind of deserved for the effort Leeds have put in today, especially defensively, and from their goalkeeper. So it's a result that Leeds deserve. Maybe not on the whole run of play, but certainly with how hard they have fought. And with 12 minutes left, Leeds United could be on the verge of a scalp here. In Premier League terms, that is. Tanaka. He's adjusted. It's tracked back by Fabian Schär. Now Tanaka's there. And Schär. Oh, look at that strike. Fabian Schär is an absolute ball, as it were. Built like a tank. He did very well there. Fabian Schär is definitely still up there. He may be 30 over now, but Fabian Schär is still a very strong player in his own right. Ramsey trying to control it, and very lucky not to lose out more there. And that was a poor pass from Jolinton as well. I think that is going to be proving to be one of Newcastle's problems. They like to pass the ball around, but they're not really efficient while doing it. And that certainly could count against them in games like these that they would be expected to win. And it looks like Kieran Trippier is coming on. If rumours are to be believed, it's going to be for a send-off. As we've heard that Sevilla are interested. It could be a £7 million fee. Elanga. And he couldn't pick out Yone Weezer. So, for maybe the final time in a Newcastle United shirt, Kieran Trippier is coming on. On the Leeds side, Gonto is coming on for Alex Iwobi. Livramento is the man making way for Kieran Trippier for maybe his final Newcastle game. Look at Ramsey. A brilliant turn of pace. One thing you cannot deny, Newcastle will play at speed this season, and I think a lot of teams may struggle to keep up with them. And that's what makes Leeds' effort quite astounding here today. They've certainly earned it. Not every game's going to be a win for Newcastle United. And the loss of Isak will tell on days like this, for example. Because Newcastle really haven't been as prolific up front as they were against Liverpool. And that kind of saved them to a degree. No such luck today, though. Leeds United are on for a very famous win. Look at Ramsey. He felt the challenge, got straight back up and ran with it. And I think that was Weezer who's forced to save from Perry, the keeper again, who's been terrific. James Justin's in the book for Leeds for that challenge on Ramsey earlier. Yeah, fair cop on that one. Well, what must he be thinking, Eddie Howe? I don't think this is a form of complacency here. I think it just didn't go their way, and that will happen. They should have probably scored a couple of themselves today, however. That one shot that off the post, but to be fair, again, to Perry, he's done brilliantly in the Leeds goal. Tanaka, no one saw him coming for the goal, and that worked in his favour. Tanaka again. Ramsey. Now looking to run again. I think Ramsey is doing a lot of running. Couldn't find Weezer. And where did the goals go for Yone Weezer? I'm pretty sure he was the one that scored the hat-trick against Liverpool. No such goal up in today. Final touches maybe in a Newcastle shirt for Kieran Trippier. Not the best of ones, sadly. But Leeds United are just seconds away from a very well-earned win. Marcho's been brilliant in the centre of the park for them today. In the centre defence, he's been terrific. Well, it's a win for Leeds United. And it's certainly deserved on the face of it. Newcastle, you could argue, probably should have scored once or twice. But Leeds United will take it. It's a great effort for the newly promoted team. Perry and Marcho were inspiring in defence today. Nothing was beating them. And Tanaka gets his with a goal. Newcastle with work to do. It's not a disastrous loss, but it's certainly an unexpected one. Leeds United 1, Newcastle United 0. So let's check out all the scores and what that means for the Premier League table. Crystal Palace grabbing a surprise win against Aston Villa, to be fair, as the rumours of Militao heading there continue actually into deadline day. I don't think that story is going to be over. Fulham getting a surprise win against Chelsea as well by 2-0. Everton getting a win on the board, responding to their loss of Brighton by 1-0. Bournemouth beating Spurs by the same scoreline as Manchester United continue to sink. 3-1 loss to Burnley, confining them to the relegation zone with 3 games played. Brentford beat Sunderland by 2-1. And finally, actually not finally, there's 2 left. Man City beating Brighton by 1-0. And West Ham Man City beating Brighton by 2-1, and that's the same scoreline for West Ham and Nottingham Forest. A vital win at the top. Arsenal 0, Liverpool 1, which puts Arsenal 1, Liverpool 0, and that puts them at the top then, 2 points ahead of chasing Manchester City and a further point clear of Newcastle United. Burnley up into 4th with 2 wins out of 3. To start the season. Bournemouth are up to 5th, and Crystal Palace, are down to 6th. Taking a look at the next fixtures, Arsenal have a favourable match against Nottingham Forest. It's a Manchester derby. Newcastle, as we know, takes Wolves, and Burnley take on Liverpool. Further down the table, West Ham 7th, followed by Chelsea. Leeds United having a good start to the year, newly promoted club into 9th, followed by Fulham. Spurs down to 11th. Followed by Brighton, Brentford, Aston Villa dropping to 14th. Both Merseyside clubs 15th and 16th respectively after 3, and they're followed by Nottingham Forest. Ruben Alvarez needs to find a solution quickly at Manchester United, 1 point from 3. Wolves and Sunderland are still yet to score at the bottom.